Hey guys, it's Malayna and you're watching Maybe Malayna. Today I'm going to be telling you guys a story time, and this is going to correlate with another video, but this is a story time that I've been putting off for a while because it's very personal. It's very different from any other video that I've ever done before, and it's very serious, and I've wanted to do it for a long time, but I've been putting it off because I've been very nervous because, like I said, it is very personal. But today I'm going to be telling you about my depression and self-harm. I'm just going to go ahead and say that this is going to be hard for me to talk about. I don't tell many people about this. Most of my family don't even know about this, so that's why I've been putting it off for such a long time. And it's also kind of like I've been embarrassed about it, but I feel like this is just going to help so many people, and that's why I'm making this video. I'm not trying to get attention. I'm not trying to, please don't say anything like that. I am simply trying to tell my story so that if there is anybody else going through this out there, then possibly I could help them, or maybe something in my story will inspire them to better themselves. That's why I'm doing this video today. So I'm just gonna start with I guess the beginning. So when I was 12, my great-grandpa passed away, and he was one of my best friends. All of my childhood I would go over to his house every weekend, and I mean, he was just my favorite. I loved him so much. We would play softball, and we would make food, we would eat, we would watch movies, we would color, we would draw, I would play with his hair. Like, he was my best friend, I'm serious. And so when he passed away, that was like a very big shift in my life, and it was something that I didn't know how to handle. It's just a weird thing even for anyone to go through, but much less somebody that's young. So it was really hard on me, and I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't know how to cope. So I obviously started going through depression. I was really depressed for a very long time. It's something I still struggle with to this day. I mean, depression isn't something that just comes and goes, and like it's just gone when it goes. It's one of those things that once you have depression, you have depression. I mean, it's a serious mental issue. I got quite depressed when I was like 12. And so when I was about 13, I started self-harming. I started cutting my wrist. I was just in such a low point that I was like, what's the point of anything? You know, like why am I here? What's the point, you know? So it started off small, started off as just something like I don't know, I guess kind of like an experiment, and to see what it was like, because I guess I'd heard of people doing it before, so I was like, maybe this could work for me, I guess. But please don't try it. I mean, it doesn't work. It just makes everything so much worse. It's just an added thing on top of the depression, on top of whatever you're going through. Self-harm is just another big layer of something else that you have to deal with. Something else you have to cover up, something else you have to hide, something else you have to lie about, something else that you're gonna be insecure about. I mean, it's just, it's terrible. Obviously, I told my best friends because I needed somebody to back me up, you know, because I felt like it was kind of like a cry for help, like I don't know what I'm doing, I probably need to get out of this, please help me. So I told my two best friends in middle school, and one of them reacted really well, and she was like, you know what, stay calm, I'm gonna get you through this, I'm gonna help you out, I'm gonna get you the help you need. And then the other one, I'm not saying that she's a bad person at all, she is such a great person, I love her so much even to this day, like I'm not bashing her, I promise, but my other friend reacted quite badly to the news. I mean, obviously to hear someone hear your best friend say that they hate themselves so much to the point where they are destroying their bodies, like that is really, really tough to hear. And so obviously she freaked out a little bit, and she told someone at the school, at my middle school. So I had to go to the guidance counselor, and the guidance counselor started checking my wrist every day and everything. And so of course I'm like, okay, well, she's checking my wrist, she's not checking my thigh, I'm gonna move there and she just won't find out. And so that's what I did. She never checked my thigh, she never even questioned it. So I carried on to self-harm on my thigh, and that's when it got bad because it was so much easier to hide, it was so much easier to lie about. I mean, it was just, nobody noticed. So I moved to there and continued there when I was a couple months into self-harming. I really switched up really quick because I was like, this is hard to hide, that's not. So over the years I accumulated a lot of scars on my thigh, and back when I was self-harming, I wasn't worried about it because I was like, what's the point of life? Like, I didn't even, honestly, I was to the point of, what's the point of life? What's the point in living on till tomorrow, you know? Like, why care about my body? And so I just didn't have a single care in the world for my body at all, and I didn't treat it well. I even went through a stage of eating disorders, and I can do a whole nother video about that if y'all want to hear about that, honestly. But right now, this is a lot for me to handle in one video. If you can't tell, I'm very stressed. Just talking about this makes me very nervous because it's outside my comfort zone, but that's not always a bad thing, so I'm going to try to push through. But, so the point in which I started getting better was when I was 15. And so what in my mind caused me to kind of stop, or to realize, hey, this is a bad thing, and make me stop. And so that's another thing that I'm wanting to talk about. So when I was 15, my mom's boss invited me and my family to go to her church, and I was like, oh, this is lame. Like, I don't want to go to some random lady's church. And I hadn't been to church since I was probably like 12, not consistently. Like, I'd been, you know, Easter, Christmas, like a little bit here and there, but not consistently. And so I go to this church, not wanting to, but my mom dragged me. And at first I'm like, ugh, boring. But then I see that a lot of my friends are there. I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. And they gave us free dinner. So I was like, oh yeah, this food's great. Pretty cool. And then we get on into the service, and the youth group had their own building, and it was so cool. There was a live band, and it was so much fun. And so I was like, this is actually pretty cool. And so I started going to church there, and so that's the main thing that started me on my road to recovery. And it wasn't even like I started, like, it wasn't like I started going to church because I wanted to stop and because I was seeking help. It was like honestly, it was a God thing. It was God leading me there. Like, I can't explain it any other way. Like, I would not have chosen to go to a church, and I did. And it's like, it didn't hit me all at first. It was like, I was there and it was fun, and that's why I was going. And then slowly I started getting into the little God thing, and then I was like, wow, this is so amazing. And then we had like just a bunch of deep discussions like you do in church, and I got really close to the youth group leader, and he is amazing. I love him so much, even to this day. And so he was talking about having a lesson on addiction, but he wanted to have a guest speaker there to talk, like a guest speaker that was an addict that would talk about their addiction and how they came through it and everything. And so he was just talking about trying to reach out to somebody outside of the youth group and like asking us if we know anyone. But I was like, hey, I've had an addiction. I could do a lesson. And so I actually was brave enough to sit down in front of that entire youth group and tell them my story and how I was going through it. And so, and then I wasn't the only person that spoke that night. My youth group leader spoke too. He was an alcoholic, and so just him talking and then the verses that he spoke of, and in studying for the lesson, obviously I couldn't just tell my story, so I had to I looked up things in the Bible about self-harm and addiction and things like that, and just it really empowered me and started my journey to healing. And the main thing that I found, I'm not exactly sure what Bible verse it is. It's talking about how your body is a temple and you should cherish it, and it's not even your own. God has given it to you as like for rent, almost for free rent, for a loan almost, and it is his, and so you should cherish it and you should treat it to the best of your ability and make it something beautiful and amazing, and not to harm it and not to destroy it and everything like that. And so that's really where I found some power and just some motivation to try to stop. And then another thing that really helped me was I had a new friend that came into my life. She was just really, really motivated to get me to stop. Like, she was the one that was like, you are gonna do it. And obviously, of course, when my mom found out found out that I was self-harming, she tried and tried and tried. She tried to take me to therapy. It didn't work, didn't go too well. I didn't talk much at all. I didn't like it. She tried to talk to me personally. She tried to get me to talk to other people. She tried just telling me to stop. She tried forcing me. She would take away razors, take away anything that was sharp from me. And it just didn't work. I mean, obviously, I'm a very stubborn person, and especially if my mom tells me to stop doing something, I'm gonna be like, nah. And that's really terrible of me to say, but it's just especially how I used to be. Not as much now. Like, I consider my mom's opinion a lot more now than I used to. But when she told me to stop, I was like, whatever. But then when I had so many friends that were telling me, you've got to stop this, you're so much better than that, you're worth so much more, like, do you see how beautiful you are? Like, just telling me all of these things, and just, it really helped, because I had a couple of friends that would just text me daily and remind me, you're beautiful, you're strong, you've got this, you can carry on through this. Like, I don't know, like, they just really, really were so kind and so helpful and just kept pushing me through. And so, and then every time that I would try to stop and then I failed and I relapsed, they wouldn't treat me like a dog. They wouldn't say, oh my goodness, you horrible person. They'd say, it's okay, you've got this, stay calm, like, just keep pushing through it. It was just one bad day, just keep pushing through it. You're gonna have bad days, you're gonna have good days, just keep going. And so that's what I did. I kept going, and I tried many times to stop. I failed many times, but I ended up stopping, and I'm really proud of myself for that. So I guess if I was 15, it's been about 4 years since I've self-harmed. So I'm 4 years clean, which is really, really great. I'm so happy. I don't ever see myself going back down that road. I mean, honestly, of course, you can't predict anything like that, but I could never see myself going down that road again. I mean, I feel like I know better than to go there. I would reach out to someone. I would get the help that I need before it got to that point. And so that's why I'm wanting to make this video, is to tell people, anyone else that's going through this, that it's okay. And if you need anybody to talk to about anything at all, whether it be self-harm, depression, suicidal thoughts, eating disorders, or just simply you've had a bad day and you need to talk about it, come to me, honestly. Add me on Snapchat, message me on Instagram, whatever. I will talk you through it. Trust me, I've talked through things with a subscriber before. I don't mind. I really, really and truly love to help people, especially with things that I've been through before. And I don't ever want anybody to go through the things that I went through, because it's a terrible lifestyle to think that you're not worth anything, and to think that you're not beautiful, to think that your life means nothing. And it doesn't mean nothing. It means everything. Your life is everything. It is so important. It's so precious. It is so uniquely yours. It is not like anyone else's. And you should never, ever hate yourself. You should never destroy your body. So seriously, reach out to me if you need anything at all. I promise I'll be here for you. The thing that got me motivated to do this video now instead of later is that these scars on my thigh have been really bothering me. They didn't bother me when I was self-harming. I didn't care about my body back then, like I said. But now I obviously love myself so much more. I'm so much more proud of my body and who I am, how I act and everything, how I dress. I am just completely 360, so much happier. And so seeing those scars on my thigh and seeing, because that's something I have to see every single day. When I shower, when I change clothes, if I'm going for a swim, if I'm wearing shorts that are a little short, anything. Anytime that I look down, it's right there. And they're everywhere. They're big, massive scars, and they're horrible, and they make me think of all the bad times that I went through. And so I thought about getting a tattoo to cover it up. A lot of people do that after they've been through self-harm, and a lot of people find it as like a release and like a relieving thing, because you no longer have to see that dark part of your body. Like it reminds you of terrible times, so you really just don't want to have to see that. But I decided, instead of completely covering it up, I was just gonna beautify it a little bit with a tattoo near it, but not completely on it, because that way I can still remember the past, remember what I went through, and be able to reflect on it and remember not to go back there, because they do say that history repeats itself unless we monitor history and just make changes. So I did get a tattoo, and that video will be coming up soon, but it is so beautiful, and it's made me really just love my body and love my story so much more. And that's why this tattoo means so very much to me. But anyway, I hope you guys have found something good out of this video, whether it just be something that you can share with a friend that you know is going through a tough time, or just an educational video, or if it's honestly helped you, then that would mean so much to me. And if it has helped you, please leave a comment down below and let me know, because this was really, really hard for me to do. Honestly, I didn't think that I'd be able to get through this video, but here I am still rambling at 24 minutes. So, I hope you guys have enjoyed it, and I love you guys so, so much. And don't forget that I'm always here for you if you ever need me. If you ever need anything at all, Snapchat me, Instagram message me, comment on a YouTube video, anything. Just reach out to me, and I will grab your hand and do my best to pull you through everything. So, I love you guys so much, and thank you for tuning in. Bye, guys. Love your true self and never hide it. You're uniquely, beautifully you, and no one can ever take that away from you. Be bold, be fearless, be you.